Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon and welcome to another deck profile. If you're liking this sort of content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. Now, we are looking at the Adventure deck today, and I've thought that Adventure is in a really unique place because it is by virtue a structure deck. We can actually talk about it at different price points, so I figured we would do that. So first, looking at what you get if you just get one box. So this is what you get if you're looking at one box of the ST20, which is around about $16 MSRP. I managed to pick up mine for about just over £13 in terms of British sterling, and this is what you get. So you are going to obviously miss out on level 6s and stuff like that, but this is something that's playable coming out of the deck. And then we'll also just take a quick look at the ST21 version. So if you're more of a Metal Garurumon fan than you are a War Greymon fan, then you pick up this one as your one-off, and it's just a good, nice little way to start playing the deck. Adventure is ultimately a really potent deck once you get fully kind of through the door on it, but buying one of these structure decks will just help you get your foot in the door. If you want to be a bit more defensive, go with the War Greymon one. If you want to be a bit more aggro, go with Metal Garurumon. Now let's take a look if you buy two of each structure deck. So this is what you could build if you had two of the War Greymon ones. You'll basically just make sure your War Greymon Ace and your Tai and Izzy are at 4 in this. There's not really much else that's different. Then let's take a look at two copies of the ST21, of course, same kind of thing here. We're just making sure we've got 4 of the mats, 4 of the Metal Garurumons. But ideally, if you're buying two structure decks, you probably want to be buying one of each structure deck. So that means you basically can have a little bit more variety in the overall strategy. But ideally, another step above this, and this is where we're getting a little bit more closely into the more expensive way to build Adventure, is of course going to be buying 2 of each structure deck. So this is pretty much where you're getting to a constructed level. So we've got a little bit more of the War Greymon Ace, we've got a little bit more of the Metal Garurumon Ace, and you're getting a little bit more into this kind of constructed territory. Then one step beyond this is of course then this, which is basically taking the support from BT21 and putting it into the deck as well. So there's more support than this, for example, but this is ultimately what I settled on, and you could go more expensive than this. Obviously you could put a load of alt arts in, and you could put in more copies of the BT21 tie, but this is ultimately the version I've gone with for my main fully constructed list. So let's get into the full list, and as we've seen, Adventure in many different price points is a really viable deck, either a great stepping on point, a great mid-range option, or a fully constructed powerhouse. I mean, to be fair, this is not that much different to the mid-range option, so if you did want to just pick up 2 copies of each structure deck and slap those together, that will still put you in really good stead. But let's go into the full profile now. So I've gone for the egg. I've gone for 4 of the Sunomon over the Koromon. I do like the Koromon, that extra little DP boost. However, we have so many other DP boosts in the deck, and with the Alliance and stuff like that we've got, that's really prevalent. DP boosts are not that necessary. So I ultimately like the Sunomon because if we do get deleted, we can just get back one of our pieces from the trash, helping us with our overall consistency. Then, to help us with our consistency, of course, we've got our rookies. Now, I've only gone for 4 of each of these 2 rookies. I've not actually gone for the warping rookies, so the Agumon and the Gabumon, or any of the Floodgates, just because I think this deck's real strength is getting into its level 5s as quickly as possible, and you don't necessarily need to actually have your full Digivolution line to that. It helps, but you don't need it. So that's why I've gone for these guys. So gone for 4 of the Biomon, reveal top 3, and adds a Digimon card with Adventure trait and one such Tamer or option to your hand, and then gives a 2000 DP boost as the inheritable. Then the Palmon does similar kind of thing. So on play, you trash a card from your hand, and then you draw 2, and the card that you trash has to be of the Adventure trait. And then you have a 1000 DP all turns boost. So both of them help with your DP boost, and both of them help with your consistency in some way. Then we go into the level 4s, and the Birdramon and the Togemon, again, kind of similar. So the Birdramon essentially and the Togemon, both of them have the same on-play and when Digivolving effect. If your Tamers with the Adventure trait have 3 or more colours, this Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the Adventure trait in the hand without paying the cost. So just completely free, goes straight into whatever you want, and then it gives 2000 DP boost. Togemon does the same exact thing, but it has the 1000 DP all turns boost, just like Palmon did. Then we've got the Kabuterimon. I went with Kabuterimon over Angemon for our Tamer player. just because of the piercing, it just gives us an extra keyword. But essentially, if you have one or fewer Tamers, you may play a Tamer card with the adventure trait from your hand without paying the cost, and then get that piercing inheritable. Then going into level 5s, I've got 4 of the Garudamon. This one is really good for helping you with your aggression. On play for the turn, one of your Digimon gains security stat +1, and for every 2 colours your Tamers have, you also give 2000 DP to that Digimon. So that means just one of your Tamers will give you 2000 DP because they're dual colour. If you've got both Matt and Tai out, that gives you 4000 there. And then if you've got the other 2 out as well, so 6000 DP all in all, along with the Tai, that's white as well, so it does help. So really, really good for that aggression. And then something that all of the level 5s in this deck have, bar one, and we'll get to the one that doesn't, have, is an effect where essentially when your other Digimon are played or Digivolve, if any of them have the adventure trait, you can then give Alliance to one of your Digimon for the turn, and then one of those Digimon may attack, which is really good. That may attack, that pseudo blitz part of the effect, is super important because of the fact we can give Rush to our level 5s or higher. So really, really good. And then again, has the Alliance as the inheritable. Then we've got Angelwomon, who is just as important, if not more important, for the overall strategy than Garudamon is. Essentially, on play, one of your other Digimon may Digivolve into a Digimon card with the adventure trait in the hand without paying the cost. So you just, on player, you Digivolve into her, and then all of a sudden you're building up your stack. And especially if you've got the Birdramon and the Togemon, that essentially means you can go up into a level 5 for free, which is dumb. Again, gives that Alliance as well, but for both the inheritable and the your turn effect, and gives that little pseudo blitz with the May attack as well. Then the one level 5, which works differently to all of the others, is Skullgreymon. So he's from BT21. He's only a common, so not exactly expensive to get, but I think he is really, really good. So on play when Digivolving, one of your Digimon gains Raid and Retaliation for the turn, until your opponent's turn ends, Then on deletion, you may play an adventure trait card with a play cost of 4 or less from your trash without paying the cost. And that on deletion is bonkers, because 4 or less, that's Togemon and that's Birdramon. So that means you lose your level 5 and then you just go back up into that level 5 again. It's really good, and it has that same on deletion as the inheritable as well. So if you've gone into your level 6s and they get deleted, you can just go into these and rebuild your stack. It's so good. That Raid and Retaliation, also great. You can give blocker to your entire board, so you can threaten a retaliation blocker. It's just really nice. All of the other ones kind of, don't offer us enough utility versus this, which is why ultimately I think the Skullgreymon is the better pick. Then going into level 6s, I've got 3 copies of the Wargreymon Ace. On play when Digivolving until your opponent's turn ends, for every 2 colours your Tamers have, their Digimon effects don't affect your Digimon. So if you've got all of your Tamers out, you can make most of your board, if not all of your board, completely immune to their Digimon effects. Only Digimon effects though, and not options. And then when Digivolving and when attacking, not once per turn, delete one of the opponent's lowest DP Digimon. So if you go into this on your turn, you delete something, you swing in, you delete something again. So really, really good for that overall control. However, I have been thinking of putting it down to 2 copies just because as I mentioned this in my Bait or Busted on these 2 cards, I actually really prefer the Metal Garurumon Ace in this strategy. And I'll tell you exactly why. He just is so much better suited to the overall we give Alliance, we attack strategy. Essentially, he has on play when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck, and for every 2 colours your Tamers have, add 1 to this effect's level maximum. So you're only removing 1 body with that, but bearing in mind there are many decks that actually want their stuff to be in the trash, that can recover really well from their stuff being in the trash. There aren't as many that can recover from having their stuff bottom decked. And if you've got all of your Tamers out, you can bottom deck literally anything in the game so long as it doesn't have protection. Then the when attacking is you may play 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So it gives itself an Alliance target. So if you've gone into it and your main kind of wombo combo in this is to have 2 of your bodies out, do your kind of tennis rally Digivolving with the Angelwomon, go into Metal Garurumon Ace, you'll have given it Alliance with one of these anyway, then Alliance as an inheritable, you swing in, you play something out, and it's level 4 or lower, so you can play Birdramon or Togemon, thus Digivolving those up into a level 5, and then use your second Alliance, because you've got Alliance twice on this in that combo, to then Alliance on that, thus doing a minimum of 3 checks. And if one of those level 5s you've gone into is Garudamon, it'll be 4 checks because you've given yourself security tap +1. So I just think the Metal Garurumon Ace is such a good aggro card in this deck. Like, I always feel like the big plays I make in this deck always finish with Metal Garurumon Ace. They never feel like they finish with Wargreymon Ace. Wargreymon Ace is really good for the control because of the fact, it's going to, delete stuff. But, ultimately, these two work extraordinarily well in tandem, as their art suggests, because their art can actually be put together to create one artwork. They do work really well in tandem, but I just think the Metal Garurumon Ace just does so much more in this strategy than the Wargreymon Ace. I think that maybe is because I'm very aggro-minded. I do have defensive decks, and I do love playing defensive decks, but I started this game as someone who very much wanted to be an aggro player, and, was very much, playing with these more kind of aggro decks. I started... ironically with Greymon, I wanted to be as aggro as possible. But the Metal Garurumon Ace is, I think, the better level 6. And I still stand strong in that opinion. I had a really big discussion with someone in the comments on our Bait or Busted video a while back about the subject, but I'm still, as much as I am a Greymon stan, Metal Garurumon Ace is phenomenal. Then going into the Tamers, I've got one of the Sora and Kari and one of the Joe and Mimi. Both of them do exactly the same thing. So they gain you a memory at the start of turn, and then when any of your cards with the adventure trait would be played from your hand, by suspending this Tamer, reduce the play cost by 1. And that play cost reduction comes up a lot in this deck. All of your Tamers have some way of doing this play cost reduction. It's really, really cool. Then going on to Ty and Izzy, I've got 2 copies of this. When any Digimon cards with the adventure trait would be played, so there's that reduction effect again. You reduce it by suspending this Tamer, and then opponent's turn effect, all of your Digimon with the adventure trait gain blocker. Because you can go so wide, the fact it gives blocker to everything means you can build up a really impenetrable wall, unless they've got something like a Crimson Blaze or something like that to delete your smaller bodies. Then we've got the Matt and TK, and Matt and TK is the best Tamer in the deck, even considering the BT21 tie. When any Digimon card again with the adventure trait would be played from your hand, suspend it, reduce it by 1. But the really important effect is all of your level 5 or higher Digimon with the adventure trait gain rush. So that means basically any level 5, whether you've hard played them, whether you've digivolved up into them, they will gain rush. So that will basically mean if you've played out your Birdramon or your Togemon with the Skull Greymon on deletion or with the Metal Garurumon Ace, the moment they then digivolve into one of your level 5s, they've got that rush available. So you can really spam the board a lot with this deck, and it's just a really, really, really fun strategy. I'd almost be tempted to bump this up to 4 and maybe take one of these ones out, but the reason I haven't is just for the extra colours. We get the blue, we get the red from these two. Obviously yellow and green we've already got, but we do get our extra colours, and we want as many colours as possible to take advantage of our aces kind of effects, as well as the effect of our BT21 Ty, who is our last Tamer. He's our memory setter, so he'll set you to 3, which is great. When one of your Digimon attacks by suspending this Tamer, draw 1, helping with the consistency. And then the main effect is you may play one adventure or hero trait card with a play cost of 2 or less from your hand without paying the cost of for each of your Tamer colours, including his own. Add 1 to this effect's play cost maximum, and then return this Tamer to the bottom of the deck. So, that doesn't sound like a lot. Play cost of 2 or less. There are no cards that exist that are 2 or less that you can actually physically play. But it immediately goes up to 3 or less because he counts himself. Then, if you've got any of your Tamers out, because they are all dual colour, that's then going to mean it's going to jump up to 5 or less. 1 extra Tamer, 6 or less. Another Tamer, 7 or less. And once you've got all of your colours together, so you've got every colour, so you've got white, blue, green, purple, yellow, black, red, that's your 7 colours there, you're reducing by 9. So that means you can play out your level 5s, you can play out your aces for free, because nothing in this deck is above 9 play cost. The highest play cost Digimon in this whole deck is Skull Greymon, and even then you could play it out for free if you've got all of your Tamer colours available. So it is really nice. Because you've got that rush available, it helps us there. It's just a really cool kind of general support card for the deck, and it works so much better in this deck than it does in the other deck it works in, which is Heroes, which if you haven't seen that already, do check out our Bait or Busted video on the Hero deck that came out on Monday. But yeah, really good. Then going into our options, we've got 3 of the Our Courage United. This gets you a draw 2, and you can use this irrespective of the colours on the field, so long as you've got an adventure trait Digimon on the field. And it has an all-turns effect of when any of your level 5 or higher Digimon would leave the battle area, delay, you may play 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card with the adventure trait from your hand without paying the cost. So again, it's just more recovery. You've got this out, say for example your Skull Greymon, past tensed, on deletion, it plays something out, it goes up, Arc originated, you then play something else out. You play out Angelomon as part of that. You're gonna get your Digivolutions off. You can literally go straight back into your level 6 based on that. It's really good. We've also got Believe in Our Friendship, which is essentially our memory boost / training for the deck. It gains 2 memory, so more in line with the memory boost, but just like a training, it adds basically any card you want in the deck, because it adds any one card with the adventure trait. So that's Digimon, Tamers, options, whatever. So long as they've got the adventure trait, you can add it. So really good. Then we've got 1 copy each of Island of Adventure and Genai's House, which are both very similar cards. Island of Adventure, you add your top security card to the hand and then place this card face up as the top security card, and you can play it irrespective of color requirements if you don't already have an Island Adventure in there. And it gives 2000 DP to all of your level 3 or higher Digimon for all turns. Then we've also got Genai's House, which does the same sort of thing, but you add this one to the bottom and gives 3000 DP on your turn to all of your level 3 or higher Digimon, and does the same thing again of if you don't have Genai's House in the security, you can then play this without using color requirements. And then both of them also have individual security effects. Island Adventure lets you play out a Tamer, and Genai's House lets you play out a level 3 Digimon card from trash without paying the cost. And these two are the 2 cards from these structure decks which will really help in terms of kind of just being general staple cards. I know, there are Blue Armor players that have been experimenting with these. You could pretty much put them in anything you want. I think Dan, for example, is looking to put him in his Ganku Rush deck because it would just give DP to all of his puppets, which would be nasty. So they're both really, really good. Something else I didn't add as well when talking about the budget kind of versions of the structure deck is they do also come with all the scramble cards. Now, I didn't include those scramble cards in the actual builds themselves just because there's so many colors in this deck, they're kind of useless, but they're a really good pickup if you're wanting some good staple cards. So definitely something to consider. Let's now take a look at some tech options for the deck. So these are our tech options, which are basically just the cards we didn't add for the structure deck, as well as a couple of other ones. So of course, as a kind of another egg option, you could play the Koromon, just gives you that 1000 DP. Ultimately, like I said, I don't like it as much as the Sunomon, but you could play it. You've also got the Gomamon and the Tentomon, which give you some floodgates, some actual kind of like adventure trait floodgates. Gomamon stops memory gain, and Tentomon stops Digivolution costs, which has not come up for me in Adventure, but did come up for me in our latest DU deck challenge. So make sure you check that out. It was with BB Dudes. It was a really funny match. Loads of fun. Tentomon is the GOAT, no matter what anyone else says. Then we've also got the Ogumon and the Gabumon. You're not Gabumon. You're also not Gabumon. Gabumon. And both of these essentially help you warp using either the amount of colours you have on the board, or if they've got a 10,000 DP Digimon in play. Ogumon gives reboot, Gabumon lets you draw and trash, so they're both pretty good in that regard. We've also got a couple of security options as well. So Ikakumon and Gatumon both have security effects. Both of them have on plays as well, and when Digivolvings, you trash top 2 Digivolution cards with the Ikakumon and then stun one of their Digimon with no Digivolution cards, and then gives you a little bit of a draw inheritable as well. And then the Gatomon gives 2 of your opponent's Digimon security stat -1 until the end of their turn, their turn ends, whilst also doing a DP reduction as the inheritable. Then we've got Angemon is our other Tamer player. If you wanted some more DP reduction, then you could do this, but I just kind of think there's not enough DP reduction in this deck to really make it worth it, so hence why I went with Piercing from the Kabuterimon instead. Then we've got Zudomon, again, helps us with a bit of removal and source stripping if we wanted to. I mean, both of these would be great in the source stripping kind of a Kakamon deck as well. Magnarangemon is pretty cool. The more colours you have, you can actually put one of your kind of opponent's Digimon into the security, so that would be pretty cool. So definitely not a bad option. Whilst I'm waiting on getting the BT21 cards, I'm actually playing this in my version of Adventure, because at the moment I'm playing the mid-range version, whereas I've been testing with the BT21 stuff in the lead up to it. But in terms of what I've got constructed at the moment, it's the mid-range version, because I've not been able to get any BT21 legal cards yet. Then the Mega Capiteramon helps with unsuspending stuff. I did find in testing this didn't really come up, but it could be an interesting thing to do. Lilymon, also interesting, suspending all of your opponent's 5000 DP or lower Digimon. So again, quite cool for that removal. There is also the promo Wargreymon as well. So this is adventure trait, so you could play this instead of your Wargreymon ace, or in addition to your current ace lineup. You delete one of your opponent's Digimon with as much or less DP as this Digimon, and as an all turns effect of this Digimon gets 1000 DP for each colour Digimon and Tamers have. Security attack +1 and blocker as well, not bad, especially when you've got the reboot from the Ogumon. This is almost as good of a warp target as the ace, if not a better warp target, because it gets so big. The security attack +1, 2 checks. Yeah, Really, really good. So could definitely help more aggro stuff. I mean, to be fair, if you didn't worry, if it weren't for the Digimon immunity effect that the Ace has, I would probably go for this. Because, you know, this, again, just really helps us with that alliance stuff. You know, it's already got Security Tap +1, give it Security Tap +1 with Garudamon, have the alliance inheritable, 4 checks, easy business, whilst deleting something off the board. Then, I didn't want to. He's not an adventure trait card. But Medieval would be good in this because Medieval is Medieval. So if you really wanted to make a really overly expensive version of this deck that had Medieval Gallantmon in it, do it. It's got Alliance. You could give Alliance to it with the Inheritable as well. Double Alliance, Vortex, Piercing from your Capitarimon Inheritable. I hate this card, but it is good. And then the last card we'll talk about is Omnimon Ace. If you wanted to the level 7, this could be the way to go. You could DNA with the Blast DNA with the Wargreymon and the Metal Garurumon. Just bearing in mind, although the board wipe would be really good for this deck, the amount of overflow is not. So take that with a grain of salt, and it's why ultimately I've not explored that avenue. But that is the full deck, guys. From a myriad of different price points, this deck is a really good stepping on point or a really good meta deck for you guys to play around with, and I know I will be playing around with it. It's super fun, does a lot of really cool shenanigans. But I hope you guys like this video. Like, subscribe, and ding that notification bell so you don't miss out on the next video, which will actually be our BT21 tier list vote. So I'll be putting out a video on that on Friday, which will essentially be open for a week, and you guys can vote on what you guys think of the BT21 format. So make sure to stay tuned for that, and we'll see you again on the next video. But until then, keep it digital.